What up, everybody? What up, everybody? What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of AC Reviews the World. I am your host, AC the Engineer, and we are at episode 218. This is a round of applause. Now, I hope everybody had a good day today. It is Thursday, July 2nd, 2026, year of our Lord, and it's time to get to the greatest afternoon show in the world. You ain't got to believe it, but I believe it. That's all that matters. But this is a show like no other where we go over 4 or 5 topics or just things that I found that we need to review together. We meet Monday through Friday, or try to, starting around 6 o'clock to talk about this type of stuff. Now, I'm never going to say I'm always right. I'm never going to say I understand everything, but I'm willing to talk about it. So if you ever disagree with anything I say, please leave a comment. That's what's wrong with the world today. People aren't having discussions anymore. And if you like this type of content, y'all, remember the best way to show your support is always just to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and hit that notification bell. But you know how I like to do it. Let's jump right into it. The first topic we're going to get into today, it's lighter. It's lighter because we got to talk about some crazy things. But the first topic is we got a couple are possibly facing charges. So a couple is possibly facing charges after climbing the Empire State Building. It seems to all because of a proposal. So we're going to get over into a few videos of that, and then, of course, some AI breakdown. But remember, y'all, if you disagree with anything I say, please leave a comment. Let's jump into it and see what we can find out. The real question is, was it worth it?
Well, Vicky, you mentioned this, the daredevil couple that scaled the Empire State Building yesterday, spotted leaving court in New York City this morning. Video capturing the moment they stopped to kiss on the steps leading down to the subway, because why not?
They can't stop
after being
kissing.
Egged on by reporters.
The two, though, are now facing multiple charges for pulling off this sky-high stunt 1,500 feet above the ground. That whole spectacle caught the attention of a nearby air traffic control tower. Take a listen.
Two geniuses climbed to the top of the Empire State Building, the top of the spire.
It's not some worker changing a light, is it?
Nah, it's a male, female, dressed in black. They had some flag they were waving.
I'm okay. With the New York accents and everything, Sam.
Some say geniuses, some say artists. You can see the moment police took the couple into custody after climbing all the way up there to meet them.
NBC News correspondent Valerie Castro is following the very latest.
Hold on. See, I'm not built for to be an officer. They said they climbed up there to arrest them. I don't know how they climbed, but it wouldn't be me. But real question is, was it worth it? Was the proposal worth doing all this and the possible charges that they could face? But let's keep going.
For us, so Val, the stayed overnight in a says that the couple actually stayed overnight in a restricted area, obviously trespassing there at the Empire State Building. What are the charges they're now facing?
Well, Vicky, they actually spent the night in police custody. And as you saw in that video, when they were released after their court appearance earlier today, they were still wearing what appeared to be those black outfits that they were wearing when they climbed to the top of the Empire State Building. The couple is now facing identical charges in this case, including felony burglary, reckless endangerment, and criminal mischief. Their attorney also spoke out after their court appearance today. He says that they are innocent until proven guilty. He says it's still very early in this to really comment on the charges in this case, but he was asked about their possible motivations in doing all of this. We know they were holding up that black banner with a message about love and peace. Take a listen to what he had to say about that.
It was a message of love, all right? And, that's a nice thing. Now, but on the other hand, the law is the law, right? So we're going to deal with this case. But I will say, it's nice to have somebody wearing black masks doing a message of peace instead of a message of destruction.
And the couple is now out on supervised release. We know they have their next court appearance in late August. Guys?
I, for one, wouldn't do anything that crazy because, first of all, a big man is not going to be in heights. But I wonder if the charges are worth it. And you saw how the lawyer was fumbling around. But what are your thoughts, y'all? Let's get over into this next video and see what else he tells us.
New at 11, the couple arrested for scaling the spire atop the Empire State Building faced a judge a short time ago. After causing a huge spectacle, unfurling a flag and then climbing back down, they got engaged. News 4's Erica Byfield caught up with the couple outside court in Lower Manhattan. The first time we're hearing from them. Erica, what did they have to say?
Yeah, Gilma, they were saying a little bit. They weren't saying too much, I have to tell you. You said caught up with them. Literally, we were walking out of the courthouse with them today. You can take a look at some video that we shot as we were doing this today. They went before a judge within the last hour, and it was during that proceeding that the judge decided to release them on supervised release. And you can see them there walking out of the courthouse. And it was just, there I am in the video as well, and it was just as they approached the subway, because they were actually asking for directions on how to get back to New Jersey, because they told me that they now live in New Jersey. We asked if they would show us a little affection, show each other a little affection, and look what we got. We got quite a show there. But as we all know, this is the same couple that is now facing felony and misdemeanor charges for what happened yesterday atop of the Empire State Building, standing on top of that spire with that banner unfurled. That was something that the prosecutor brought up today in court, talking about how they are social media influencers and they're known to do things like this. They called it extreme behavior, and they say that they're doing it across the world, including rooftops and free climbing skyscrapers. From the back and forth that our photographer heard today in court, Freddie Luna, he was inside when all this was going on. He was telling me that they did not speak, but they had a Russian translator there answering their questions that were posed to them when they came up. They have hired a private attorney. He spoke as they left court today. He told us that he thought that they should have been released on their own recognizance, but instead we know that they got what the prosecution asked for, which is supervised release. Back out here live, I asked them how long they've lived in New Jersey. They live in East Orange. The woman, the 33-year-old woman, told me that they moved there last week. In fact, she said that they used to live here in Brooklyn. Erica Byfield, News 4, New York.
Wow. That's a crazy situation, but it was all for a proposal. Now the question is, would you do something like that? But let's get over into the AI breakdown. But they did say something a little interesting. They said that one of the charges is burglary. What were they burglarizing? But let's get over into this AI breakdown to see if it tells us. So they got some pictures, of course, because they're a social media couple. So on July 1st, a Russian roof-topping daredevils, Angela and Ivan, scaled the Empire State Building antenna spire in New York City to pull off a dramatic high-altitude marriage proposal. The stunt stunned onlookers, forced police to lock down surrounding streets and briefly disturb visits to the landmark. I don't know why I was so confused. Dressed completely in black, climbing without any tethers or ropes, the couple bypassed building security by slipping through locked maintenance hatches on the 103rd floor. They climbed all the way to the top of 200-foot telecommunication transmission tower, roughly 1,454 feet, so 1,454 feet above the Midtown Manhattan. At the tip of the spire, they unfurled a large black banner that read, "When the power of love beats the love of power, the world knows peace. When the power of love beats the power, the world knows peace." When the power of love beats the love of power, the world knows peace. Okay. See, I was saying that wrong. A frequent attributed to Jimi Hendrix. So after gathering the banner, they dropped to one knee. The man dropped to one knee, proposed to her. The stunt carried an extremely dangerous beyond just the heights. The Empire State Building had completely powered down its massive antenna to protect the first responders and couple from high-frequency, body-altering radio frequency radiation. Wow, I didn't even think of that. So the New York Police Department intercepted the couple on their way down the spire. They were arrested without incident and arraigned in a Manhattan criminal court on July 2nd, 2026. They face a laundry of list of felonies and misdemeanor charges. So we got third-degree burglary, first-degree reckless endangerment, second-degree criminal mischief, and base jumping. And then possession of burglary tools, criminal trespassing, and criminal tampering, criminal trespassing, and disorderly conduct. I thought they came in without. Some of those charges are going to get dropped. I don't. Maybe the burglary from them spending the night or staying in there, but that should be like trespassing. Yeah, some of these charges I don't understand. The couple was released from jail on supervised release and was seen sharing a kiss outside of the courtroom. courthouse. Their next scheduled court appearance is for August 24th, 2026. Because they are in the U.S. legally, their legal representation noted that the threat of deportation remains a major concern during their upcoming plea negotiations. Because they are in the U.S. legally. Why, if they're legally, why are they scared they're going to get deported? Or is it because they committed a crime? Yeah. So the couple international notoriety roof-toppers who climbed the world's tallest landmarks completely unprotected to photograph the results to social media, their dangerous relationship and high-stakes stunts, including breaking into 2,227-foot Medriac Tower in Malise, where the central subject of the popular 2024 Netflix documentary Skywalker's a Love Story. Wow. It's a crazy situation, y'all. But what are your thoughts? Was all that worth it? They got a laundry list of felony charges. Some of them will likely get dropped just what I'm thinking. But what are your thoughts, y'all? What are you thinking? Do you think that whole situation was worth it? It's a show of love for sure, but I ain't that bold. I'm gonna be honest with you. We're gonna pivot now into some heavy hitter stuff. We got some light lovey-dovey stuff, but we gotta get over into some tragic situations because the world's a crazy place, but we have to review it together. Now, this next topic we're going over into is we had 16 children end up being rescued from an Ohio home, and the people are calling the condition in that house deplorable. So we're going to get over into a few videos about that, and then we'll get over into the AI breakdown just to wrap it all up. Remember, y'all, if you like this type of stuff, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and hit that notification bell. Let's jump into this and see what we can learn.
And 4 suspects are facing criminal charges after Ohio authorities say they found 16 children living in horrific conditions. The children range in age from 1.5 to 18. Officials say they were in dire need of medical treatment, and Ohio's Attorney General calls it the worst scene he's ever encountered and pure evil. Now, the suspects have pleaded not guilty. Let's bring in ABC legal analyst Brian Buckmeyer for more on this case. Brian, we don't have a ton of details here, but what stands out to you on this case so far?
The amount of children in a home that is, by our accounts, 1,300 square feet, 20 people living here, and not 1 or 2, but 4 adults. And while they haven't released the relationship between the defendants and those of the minors inside of the home, this is peculiar to me in the sense of what were the red flags that were missed, what was going on in this home, and the charges as well. There's 17 so far. They seem to be child endangerment charges, the one being more serious than the rest because of the serious injuries, but the lack of information is what sticks out to me, and I hope we learn more as we go on.
And I'm curious.
Now, my real question is, I'm not going to stop it too much, but were these children going to school? Because the school is the first sign that would show something like this. And if they weren't, why wasn't the authorities notified? But let's keep going into
that because they've given these sparing details, right? We have the names of all the suspects. They all have the same last name, but they haven't said if they're related to each other and if they're related to the kids. They're describing these horrific conditions, but they haven't said what they actually were, what the suspects are actually accused of doing, aside from child endangerment. And then they say that they weren't locals, that they appeared to be traveling, but that this isn't a human trafficking case.
Yes, there's a lot of things to put together. So same names, yes, people can all be Smiths or in this case Siders, but I tend to believe that they're related because as I look at it here now and I look at their mugshots, Gary Sider Sr. and Gary Sider Jr., that suggests to me that one is the father of the other. To all adults, it seems like even the junior and the
these people look, gotta call it how it is, crazy. Wow.
Other Sider, Elizabeth Sider, seem to be older adults in the sense that we see a picture here of them, some in their late 20s or 30s, but not having extreme details about the children makes sense to me because of HIPAA rules, as well as rules about giving information to the public about minors. I think as we learn...
Back this up. What? Gary, I was confused.
30s, but not having extreme details about the children makes sense to me because of HIPAA rules, as well as rules about giving information to the public about minors. I think as we learn more and we hear about their injuries, both the nature of the charges, I've seen allegations of serious physical injury there, as well as some of the information given arraignments might give us more, but it could be a matter of neglect, not giving them care, not giving them medicine, not giving them food, or it could be like affirmative harm in terms of actually hitting them, and we'll hopefully find out more as this case goes on.
Yep, and so let's get over into that next video and just see what else it can tell us.
The stuff of nightmares allegedly hidden behind the doors of this simple Ohio home.
This is pure evil. What we saw down here today is pure evil.
16 children ranging from 18 months to 18 years old were pulled out of what authorities are calling a house of horrors. Conditions inside described as deplorable.
Our livestock was kept in better conditions than the children.
4 adults arrested, now charged.
All of those counts are felonies of the second degree.
73-year-old Gary Siders and his 36-year-old son appeared together on camera for their arraignment today.
We'll be right with you.
Then 67-year-old Christina Siders and 33-year-old Elizabeth Siders appeared by video, sitting side by side.
Grandma, grandpa, father, and mother at this point. That's what we know.
All 4 adults charged with 16 counts of endangering children and being held on $300,000 bond each. They all pled not guilty.
The Siders are facing anywhere from 16 to 128 years in prison.
The house is located in the small village of Hamden, part of Ohio's rural southeastern Appalachian region.
There isn't much evidence that kids live there. I didn't actually go into the room where the kids were. I just looked through the door. That was yesterday. I can still smell. I can't get the smell.
The children were kept in a roughly 12 by 12 area. It seems like is where they've spent the most of the last 4 years.
The big question for me as a defense attorney, who's going to talk first? Someone's going to point the finger at someone.
It's horrific. That's just nasty. It's horrific, really is.
Neighbors are surprised and shaken that this situation could have been happening with no one noticing.
And I prayed a whole lot that that all them kids get better.
Several of the children are in serious condition. 2 of the children had to be care flighted to level 1 trauma centers.
The 16 children were initially checked out. Some were taken to hospitals across the state, where they will likely remain for a while.
I think if they would have waited another 24 hours, there was a very high probability that we'd be dealing with a death or multiple deaths of these children.
Oh my
God.
Oh my God.
You're not a home cooked meal, you're a fucking daddy.
The latest on the child abuse investigation.
The world is truly crazy. Truly crazy. Now hold on. So let's get over into this next video.
First, the latest on the child abuse investigation in Vinton County that is making headlines across the nation. 16 kids were rescued from a house in Hamden on Tuesday. Those kids are recovering and 4 people have been charged in this case. Our Kirsten Lindquist live in MacArthur. And Kirsten, you are talking with a first responder who was actually there when the kids were saved.
Yeah, Amy, this is a case that EMS and law enforcement tells me is going to stick around with them for quite some time. They say they can't shake the images of those kids from their heads. And in fact, a lot of community members that I've gotten to speak to here in Vinton County say they can't imagine something like this happening in such a tight-knit community, especially a place like Hamden that has roughly 200 people in it. Now, 4 members of the Sider family now face 16 counts of child endangerment charges. Those suspects said to be the parents and grandparents of the children in this case, who range in age from 1.5 to 18 years old. Investigators say these 16 children were being kept in a 12 by 12 foot room for nearly 4 years. And the conditions of the home were described as worse than what livestock here live in.
So you mean to tell me for 4 years, they never went to school, anything like that? And then some of them 18 months to 18 years old. The mother and father still living there with the grandfather. These people are despicable. A 12 by 12 room for 16 children? And then they're saying they never left the room for 4 years? Or at least never left the house? Yeah, they got to throw the book at them. It's the only thing they can do. But the real question is, where were they before the 4 years? No one had any notice about this? No other family members? No other people reported that they seen kids that never leave the house? They said it was a small town, but I guess that can be why no one talked about them.
I spoke with the acting fire department officer who said he drove 4 of those kids to the hospital. He said they were frightened and quiet during that 20-minute drive.
The cockroaches and stuff like that, bugs just in general. And the conditions, bugs get on the children and stuff, and they scratch and they bite and all that stuff. So their condition wasn't the greatest. I knew it was just quiet. That's what it was. Blank expressions.
Now, according to
traumatized
investigators, some of those children cannot communicate at all, and others have limited speech. None of them were enrolled in school. The eldest said to not even be able to spell her own name. The sheriff said one of those kids is still in critical condition at a hospital. We also learned investigators first came to that property executing a search warrant connected to a separate criminal investigation that began 4 to 6 weeks before those kids were discovered on Tuesday. Based
18 years old and can't even spell her name? Yeah, they didn't care about the children. 16 of them? They just kept having babies and shoving them to the side.
On the evidence that is mounted thus far, investigators believe this case involves prolonged abuse and neglect within this interfamilial dynamic. Now, we do know right now there is no court date set as of yet. We also know that 3 of the 4 suspects now have public defenders as their attorneys. On your side in Vinton County, I'm Kirsten Lindquist, ABC.
The real question is, what are you going to say to try to defend these type of people? I always think about it with these kind of crazy crimes. But let's get over into the AI breakdown just to find out more about this whole situation. So we got 16 children were rescued from deplorable conditions in a rural home in Hamden, Ohio on June 30th, 2026, after authorities discovered that they had been hiding from the public and confining to a single room for most of the past 4 years. The harrowing discovery was made while local authorities in Ohio Bureau of Criminal Investigations executed a search warrant as part of an unrelated crime. So investigators described the condition as horrific, third world, and littered with human waste. They stated that most of them, their livestock were being kept in better conditions. Most of the children spent their time confined to an area measuring approximately 12 feet by 12 feet. The children ranged from 18 months to 18 years old and were not enrolled in school. Many showed severe developmental delays, some unable to speak. The oldest child, an 18-year-old with developmental disabilities, could not spell her own name. Okay, so she had developmental disabilities, but still, not being able to spell your own name at 18? Doesn't sound like she was that disabled, but we don't know. 7 children were transported to the hospitals in Columbus, and 2 were airlifted by a helicopter. 1 child was admitted to the ICU in critical condition and had to be intubated. 4 adults, the children's parents and grandparents, were arrested and charged with 17 counts of second-degree felony child endangerment. So we got the suspects. We got Gary Sider, Elizabeth Sider, Gary Sider Sr., and then Sydney Sider, grandparents, father and mother. I wonder where the mother and father of the... I wonder where the grandparents' children are. And if they just left, if they gone. It's a crazy situation. All 4 adults appeared in court and were held on $300,000 cash bond each, entering not guilty pleas. So the prosecutors clarified that there was an intra-family situation and was not connected to human trafficking. So the children are currently being temporarily held by the Department of Jobs and Family Services. The Ohio Attorney General is handling the ongoing investigation. Wow. There are so many sick, awful people in this world who have children and have no means to take care of them. I feel like that's the biggest shame that people do to their children in general. If you have children, and of course accidents happen, but in general, if you have children and have no means to take care of them and have no means or no inkling to provide them with the love and care that they need, you need to be in prison. Especially if you're abusing them and can't even, if they're living in feces and rats and bugs, then those people need to be in prison. And then if you can't afford the children, you should not be having them. You need to do better because you're the one who bring them into this world and are responsible for them. 16 children all living in a 12 by 12 room. And the oldest can't even spell her name. It's a tragic situation. Luckily they were found, but 4 years they was in there. I wonder where they were before that. Did no one know about these children? No one asked why we haven't seen them in 4 years? Did they lie to people and say, oh yeah, they're doing fine? And they kept having children. 18 months was the last one. And you know they was planning for another one. Or just not caring if they got pregnant and just put it in the room. The world is a truly cold place, y'all. Let me know your thoughts on that situation. Let me know if you disagree with anything I said. Absolutely tragic. Absolutely tragic. We're going to pivot now into our next topic that we're going to be discussing today. And we got to go over into, we got to go to Las Vegas, where we had a woman who for some reason ended up making terrorism threats in a casino. So we got a few videos to look at, and then of course we'll go over into an AI breakdown just to wrap it all up. Remember, y'all, if you like this type of content, remember to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and hit that notification bell. Let's jump into it.
Fox 5 News starts now.
Metro and Henderson police, along with the FBI, say a suspect is in custody accused of making terroristic threats against people here in the Valley. Good evening. Thanks for being with us here at 10 o'clock. Police say this also wasn't the first time the suspect has made threats. They say a call Saturday morning about a domestic dispute led investigators to Sunset Station, where the suspect was found with loaded firearms. That's where we find Fox 5's Sophia Brunsbelt live with more information tonight. Sophia?
I'm here in front of the Sunset Station casino parking garage, where police say they found 22 firearms and hundreds of rounds of ammunition inside of suspect Ellison Howland's car. And Henderson police say that they received a call from her ex-spouse calling about her car being stolen and Allison making threats of carrying out a mass shooting and suicide by cop. Police tracked the vehicle to the Sunset Station garage. They say the suspect was sitting in the driver's seat, blaring music, refusing to get out.
During negotiations, she asked for water. The quick-thinking officers developed a plan to take her into custody as an opportunity arose when she reached for the water.
Police say Allison Howlett was tased once before being detained. Investigators saying the suspect was sitting on a handgun and had access to a loaded, fully automatic firearm with a silencer in the back seat.
There's no doubt that they faced an incredible danger, and thanks to them, they were able to prevent this from escalating any further.
Regional partners like Metro Southern Nevada Counterterrorism Center, which works with the FBI, helped in this investigation.
Early into this effort, the team identified several threats that were allegedly made by the suspect over a period of time.
Police played an audio recording from 2024 where they say Howlett talked about carrying out an active shooter or mass attack in Las Vegas.
You're going to be the reason hundreds of people lose their lives.
Obviously, for our community here in Las Vegas, after dealing with 1 October, those types of threats are taken very seriously. Our team not only evaluated that threat information, but they also served a search warrant on the vehicle.
Police say a search warrant at Howlett's home had them discover around 30 more firearms, including automatic firearms, in the house. And they also said there was grenade parts that were also attached to some of these firearms as well. Live in Henderson.
Where does she get all of this firepower? Wow. And she talked about this back in 2024, talking about doing a mass shooting. There are a lot of crazy people in this world, and I'm happy that her ex-spouse or ex-girlfriend or have a lover, whoever they want to call it, ended up calling the police on her. Let's get over into this next video where we get to see her in court.
The suspect accused of making terroristic threats in the Valley faced a judge today. Metro Henderson PD and the FBI say the suspect talked about a mass shooting and suicide by cop before officers tracked them down. Our Mike Allen has the update from court.
Yeah, Howlett was not in court today, instead appeared on video and learned it's going to be a $500,000 bail. Also, stipulations for no weapons, no contact with any of the named victims, and going to be back in 2 weeks, July 15th, for a preliminary hearing. So the FBI says Howlett talked about a mass shooting and suicide by police not long ago. This all started here, it came to a head with a domestic dispute call. That's what the suspect's ex-spouse said their car had been stolen with multiple guns inside. Officers found that car in a parking lot at Sunset Station in Henderson, where police say Howlett refused commands to get out, but they were able to use a distraction to get them into custody. Police found 22 guns inside the car, including a loaded automatic gun in the passenger seat, along with hundreds of rounds of ammunition. The Southern Nevada Counterterrorism Center found a recording from Howlett a couple years ago where they say the suspect talked about carrying out a mass shooting in the Vegas area. Howlett is facing charges that include assault with a deadly weapon, making a terroristic threat, and multiple weapons-related charges including short-barreled rifles being involved, machine guns, silencers, and again, Howlett is due back in court July 15th for a preliminary hearing, and bail is set at $500,000.
$500,000. Real question is, should she have just given no bail and just been forced to remain no matter what? But let's get over into the AI breakdown just to break down this case even more, because this is a wild case. So look at this. So Allison, a 36-year-old transgender woman, was arrested on June 27, 2026 in Henderson, Nevada, after allegedly planning a mass shooting at the Sunset Station Casino. Her former spouse alerted authorities to a domestic dispute, a stolen SUV, and a threat of mass shooting or suicide by cop. Police located the stolen vehicle in the Sunset Station Casino parking garage, taking her into custody after a brief standoff and struggle. A handgun was discovered under her, and an automatic suppressed machine gun was in the back seat. The FBI Joint Terrorism Task Force was involved due to the large numbers of weapons. So 22 firearms were recovered inside the vehicle, including rifles, handguns, and high-capacity magazines. A search of the home yielded 30 more weapons, including automatic weapons, AR-styled rifles with grenade launchers, M250 caliber machine guns, and extensive ammunition. She was trying to kill everyone. Wow. So she has been arraigned on July 1st, and her bail was set at $500,000. She faces over 30 felony charges, including threats of terrorism, grand larceny, possession of illegal machine guns and suppressors, domestic violence with a deadly weapon. So we know that the audio recording from 2024 revealed that she previously threatened to massacre if not arrested by the FBI. 50 guns in total were seized, y'all. That's crazy. 22 in the car, and then there was 30 in the home. She even had grenade launchers. Transgender woman about to go crazy in the casino. Now, how much time do you think she should get for this? She was planning to kill a lot of people. And that alone is enough to where I think she needs to be locked up for a long time. I can't see any possible reason why she should be out in the public. This is crazy. Now, some people are saying the whole transgender thing and that it's a trend or everything like that. I don't know about that. But I think crazy people and dangerous people deserve to be locked up and should be locked up for a long time. Now, hopefully she can't make the bail, but I wish the judge would have set no bail so she had no possibility of being released. Because if someone has 50 weapons, I don't trust them to be able to be out in the public. First of all, how did she get all of these weapons? Automatic machine guns? With grenade launchers? There is no way I wouldn't even give her the possibility of being out in the public. No amount of money can be like, oh, well, she deserves to be out. It's over with. You lost your freedom and you have to wait for the trial. And we'll see if you can get a not guilty plea. It's a crazy world we live in, y'all. But let me know your thoughts and let me know if you disagree with anything I said. The world is truly crazy. But we got to pivot over into our next topic. And we're not going far. We got to go to Arizona. So in Arizona, we had a crazy case. This happened about 3 months ago where a toddler was declared dead. And then somehow they ended up finding out he was alive before he went to the morgue. Or while he was in the morgue. It's something, but toddler alive in the morgue, y'all. Let me know your thoughts, but let's get over into it and see what this whole thing is about. We got a few videos to look at, and then, of course, we'll look at that AI breakdown just to wrap it all up. The trauma that the child must be facing, it's unimaginable. But he might have been passed out and everything, so he isn't aware of it. But how would you feel being told that your son was dead or your child was dead and then finding out that the doctor made a mistake? Whose fault is this?
Police and fire were responding to, sadly, what's become a frequent call. A child was found in a backyard pool that Sunday around 5:30 p.m. Drownings are common in Arizona. Nationwide, it's the leading cause of death for children ages 1 to 4. But this story may be different from those tragedies.
Absolutely a miracle.
Once on scene at a home near Higley and Chandler Heights roads, first responders performed life-saving measures. Officers say the child was then rushed to a nearby hospital and pronounced dead at 6:20 p.m. But then 5 hours later, around 11:30 p.m., Gilbert police were told something remarkable. The child was alive. According to police, the patient was life-flighted to another Valley hospital and is expected to survive.
How is that possible?
Wow, that's a pretty amazing story.
Dr. Frank Lavecchio is an...
The doctor has some explaining to do. I don't know how they don't tell that the child is alive. Don't they hook him up to EKGs, chest, something? There's no way that a child should be scheduled to go to the morgue and his heart is still beating. Do I think the doctor should be fired? Maybe. but you best believe somebody's about to get sued.
Emergency medicine physician with decades of experience.
Have you ever heard of a case like this before?
No. Somewhat hard to believe as a physician.
There's so much we don't know about this. And right now, the child's family, the involved hospitals, Gilbert Police, and Gilbert Fire are not filling in the blanks. It's not clear if the child was taken to the hospital's morgue after being declared dead and somehow came back to life hours later, or if that 11:30 time is just when the police department received an update on the child's condition.
It's hard to believe that they were pronounced dead and then sent to the morgue, and hours later they awoke. Maybe. Never say never in medicine, you know. Never say never and never say always, right?
Dr. Lavecchio believes the child was likely very cold after being pulled from the water, maybe making the pulse too faint to feel, which he says could mimic death. But he's skeptical of the entire situation.
If you're overly sensitive, it's when you're pronouncing a child dead. You know, you want to be absolutely sure. So you want to, you make sure the temperature was, adequate, that there's no heartbeat, no movement, no blood pressure. So I think something's missing from the story.
Like I just said, they didn't do any. Come on now, you hook the child up to something to see any kind of. If you can't feel the pulse with your actual fingers, then you hook them up. The blood pressure should be moving, something. There's no way you should make this big of a mistake to where a child gets sent to the morgue and pronounced dead. And you found out hours later. Yeah, you might need to lose your job.
And one of the many questions that remains is, will the child be okay? Dr. Lavecchio says after just a couple of minutes without oxygen, brain function is severely impacted. But since we don't know all the facts here, he says the child growing up without any serious health consequences is not off the table.
This is crazy, y'all. Let's get over into this next video, more recent, where they talked about it.
No objections. I'd like to qualify with that.
That's an Arizona doctor declaring a local toddler dead. But then over 5 hours later, the child was found breathing inside the hospital morgue. I'm ABC 15 investigator Nicole Grigg. Records show when the medical examiner came to pick up the child's body, he was still alive. Now there are serious questions about what went wrong inside that hospital.
I'm going to be right behind you guys, or do you want me in front?
You're watching Gilbert Police body camera video showing a frantic scene from Super Bowl Sunday after a toddler was pulled from a family pool in Gilbert.
LT, I'm leaving. Mercy Gilbert.
A Gilbert police officer rushed to her car to escort the ambulance carrying that baby to Mercy Gilbert Medical Center. The ABC 15 investigators obtained these heavily redacted body camera videos from inside the hospital. Much of the video is blurred, most of the audio has been muted. But a police report reveals something critical. 2 officers say they saw signs of life more than once. One officer wrote that a nurse in another room believed she found a pulse, and when the officer tried to alert the doctor, he claims that the doctor dismissed the concern, writing that the doctor arrogantly told me he was the doctor, he has the medical degree, he went to medical school for a reason, and to let him do his thing.
Yeah, fire the doctor. I have no excuse for this. He didn't even try to appease the officer just to check his pulse again, just to make sure everything is all right, because a child is dead or assumed dead.
ABC 15 appears to have located part of that exchange in the body camera video just moments before the doctor declares the baby dead.
I went to medical school for a reason. I'm not trying to do that. Okay, let me just clarify. Thank you.
But that was not the only signs of life that records show hospital staff ignored. The report provides a critical timeline. About 6:20, the doctor declared the boy dead. Over the next hour, the officers detailed hearing gasping sounds, but those didn't stop. As the baby was then about to be moved to the morgue, the officers heard an audible gasp. Then inside the morgue, the officer wrote she observed another gasp or air release, which was now almost an hour later. But a nurse didn't take those signs seriously, saying those sounds could be a response from efforts to save the toddler. All of that audio, though, was redacted.
I'm gonna let Mom and Dad come in here, okay?
Some of the last recordings we hear was when the family was told to say goodbye. Then more than 5 hours later, at 11:52 p.m., the medical examiner's office found that the baby was breathing inside the morgue. He was flown to Phoenix Children's Hospital, and that's when the family learned he was alive. The officer writing that the baby was declared dead in error.
An MRI.
I might, if I was the father, I might fight the doctor. I don't know if that's bad to say, but there is no way I can't understand how a doctor declares my child dead. And then and especially if I found out that several officers heard something and tried to make comments, but you dismissed them because, oh, I have the medical degree, I might have smacked him. And then, of course, I wouldn't be thinking this at the time. I'm just happy that my child is alive, but we got to sue the hospital. I mean, I think that's automatic and that needs to be done. But let's keep going. Of course, you're not going to think of that in this time. You're just happy that your child is alive.
I said that the baby had brain damage and we're told he will need lifelong care. An attorney for the family declined to comment. Mercy Gilbert saying in a statement, this is a heartbreaking situation and that they immediately conducted a thorough review of all aspects of the care provided to learn what happened and to make meaningful changes to strengthen their care. However, they could not say more out of respect for the patient's privacy. Now, there is a lot more to the story, and we'll continue to look into how this could happen.
The hospital is going to throw the doctor under the bus. We know that. We know that the hospital is going to throw the doctor under the bus because they're going to definitely try to save some money because they're going to get a lawsuit. I don't see any way that they don't get a lawsuit, but we never know. We never know. We'll have to wait and see. Let's get over into the AI breakdown just to see what else we can find out. So an 18-month-old boy who was pronounced dead after a pool drowning was discovered breathing inside of a morgue at Mercy Gilbert Medical Center. Newly released police department body cam footage and investigation reports revealed that the medical staff declared the boy dead in error despite repeated warnings from law enforcement. The toddler was pulled from the family pool on Super Bowl Sunday and rushed to the hospital while first responders performed life-saving measures. Super Bowl Sunday. He must have got out while everybody's watching the game and nobody's watching him. So he was declared dead at 6:20. Over the next hour, two police officers noted the boy gasping and releasing air. An officer was also overheard a nurse state that she had detected a pulse. When the officer challenged the declaration, the physician dismissed the concerns. According to the police report, the doctor arrogantly told the officer that he had the medical degree and to let him do his job. The toddler was moved to the hospital cold room. Nearly 6 hours later at 11:52, a medical examiner transport arrived to collect the body and discovered the child was still breathing. Yes, he was in the morgue with other dead bodies. Luckily, it sounded like he was probably not even aware of his own situation and just struggling to stay alive in this cold area. And think about this, y'all. If he would have died while in the morgue, we would have never known. They would have taken him, and the whole thing, it would have just been washed away. And they wouldn't have brought it up again. The toddler was immediately airlifted to the Phoenix Children's Hospital for emergency treatment. While he survived the ordeal, the MRI scans revealed that he had extended deprivation of oxygen and lack of immediate resurrection. What do you say that word? You know what I'm trying to say. Caused severe permanent brain damage, and that will require lifelong care. So the hospital issued a statement calling this a heartbreaking situation, and of course we know they did their whole sob speech saying that they'll do what they can to make sure this never happens again. is the hospital getting sued? I see, I'm trying to spell stuff wrong. An active lawsuit has not been officially filed, but the family has already retained legal counsel to represent them. An attorney representing the family has recently declined to comment publicly on the specific legal steps they are taking. However, Mercy General has confirmed that they are actively working with the family and their representation to address the catastrophic error. Given that the toddler suffered severe permanent brain damage requiring lifelong care, legal experts and public consensus strongly indicate that a high-profile medical malpractice and negligence lawsuit is inevitable if a private settlement is not reached first. Most likely, the hospital will try to settle. Absolutely crazy, y'all. This is one of the worst situations I've seen in a long time. And how would you feel if you were the parents in this type of situation? Would you have thought the same thing I would and smack the doctor? Of course, you're going to be happy that your son is alive, but someone has to. I need to let out my frustrations on someone. Or maybe I'm going to let out my frustration somehow on someone. Probably it seems wrong, but I would never be able to understand how a doctor comes to me and tells me my child is dead, and then I get a call 5 hours later. Your baby is still alive. We figured out he was alive while he was in the morgue. Y'all want to come up here? So we're gonna airlift him to the next hospital. I would be so shocked, so heartbroken, so angry. I can't imagine the emotions going through my mind. But let me know your thoughts on this situation, y'all. Let me know if you disagree with anything I said. It's a crazy case. And we will keep up with this to see if any lawsuit comes out of this, which will most likely will, because somebody has to pay for this. Somebody does. And they got lifelong care that the child is going to need. Yeah, that's going to be paid for. But like I said, let me know your thoughts and let me know if you disagree with anything I said. It's a crazy case, but this is why we got to review this type of stuff together, y'all. Now, remember, if you like this kind of stuff, remember to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and hit that notification bell. But that is it for the show today, y'all. We talked about a lot of crazy things. And if you disagree with anything I say, please leave a comment. I'm never going to say I'm always right. I'm never going to say I understand everything, but I'm willing to talk about it. Now, I will see y'all tomorrow at 6 o'clock to go over more topics because the world is truly crazy and we got a lot of stuff we got to talk about. Now, these videos will be broken down so you can go back and watch the one you want, but you already know I got to play that outro. Peace. I'll see y'all tomorrow.